Jeremy, we'll start with you for Sky Sports.
Hi Nathan, how you doing? There's been a lot of speculation this week about your future after the Brentford result and what you said afterwards. I just wonder if you feel Wolves is make or break for you.
I don't know that. I can't answer that question. All I'm going to do is concentrate on trying to win a football game. I know there's been a lot of speculation, a lot of outside noise and so on, but I can't affect that.
Yeah, Rasmus Ankerson was saying in the forum at St Mary's on Tuesday that he believes you're doing excellent work on the training ground, that you need more time to work with the new players you have. I mean, how much reassurance do you take from that?
Well, it's why I came here, because they see substance, not other things. Now, if I'm honest, I'm disappointed with the results we've had. It's get that out the way. In terms of everything, but I know that we're doing good work behind the scenes. It's just without results that doesn't come to the fore, because I know we run a football club really well. I know we develop individuals. I know we do good work. I know we're thorough. I know we're tactically good. It's just if you don't get results, that it's very hard to back that up.
There's been a lot of publicity about the comments you made after Brentford. You said you were compromised here. You were talking about your achievements at Luton, but Martin Semmens, the CEO, said, we didn't really like hearing what you said, and you were giving the impression that you were, moving the attention away from yourself. Was that fair?
I wasn't doing that at all. In fact, I was doing the categorical opposite, because I was accepting responsibility for all results. What I've said was that I've compromised certain things that I do on a day-to-day basis, which are my decisions. So no one has put pressure. I don't get pressure from anyone or anything. I listen to people like I do at every other football club. But I have made decisions here, and I live and die by my decisions. So that's not shifting the blame. In fact, I came out and said those things, and I felt I was too honest, because I felt that I was actually accepting responsibility for every single result and every single thing that happens, because that's what I do, and that's what I've always done as a manager.
The forum on Tuesday was full of fans who don't think you're the man for Southampton. What do you say to those fans, and are you at the point of no return already with them?
No, I think you've, in terms of some of your comments there, I'm not sure I am in terms of that. What I'm saying is, all I can reassure them is that we work hard, we do good work on the training ground. My thing is, I can't back that up at the minute with results. Normally I can back that up with results, and people know. If you to ask players and you ask the people, then look, we do really, really good work here, and I know that, and I believe in the work that we do, and I want that to continue, and then I just want results to turn, because then you'll see the work.
But it's 6 defeats now and 7 in the Premier League. You've got 17 games left. Can you save Southampton?
Yeah, I genuinely believe I can, and what we have to do is make sure that we get results, and we get results quickly. We've been very close on a number of occasions, but we have to really focus on this weekend and make sure we get a result.
And the fans are clamouring for the new signings to start. Sulemana, Unachu, are they going to start against Wolves?
Well, that's a private matter, but I understand there's a lot of things over him last week, but without going into too much detail, we didn't start them last week because that was diligent, because they'd spent more time in a passport office and an immigration office than they did on the training pitch, and it wasn't logical to start them last week, so that's why we didn't. So that wasn't a bad tactical decision. That was a logical decision to protect them, rather than to put them into a game and then lose them for 6 weeks with a torn hamstring or a thin calf. And maybe that was to my own detriment, but that was the logical and right decision to make. So I will make the decisions this weekend in terms of making sure that we put on a team that's potent, that can back up what work we've done, and try and get a result against Wolves.
Thanks.
Paul, how's your team news injury-wise? Anyone coming back?
Yeah, we've got a pretty strong bill of health in terms of everything, and with the two lads and Mislav Orsic playing in the 23s last week, in terms of everyone's a bit more up to speed. But we've got a few that weren't nowhere near match tempo, and that's why we had to be sensible with them, albeit scrutinised.
How about Kyle Walker-Peters, Stuart Armstrong, Juan Larios? Are they in the squad? Are they available?
Juan, it's a bit early for Juan because he hasn't trained a lot. The other two are a lot further ahead than them. So how early it is Saturday to play them, because they're important players. And again, it's not because we don't like them or we don't think they can improve the team. It's about putting them into games when they're ready. So that's what we'll do.
And you mentioned the two players, the two newest signings going in and their debut. What about this week? How impressive have they been in training this week?
Well, we brought them in to add more potency, and we saw that. We saw that on day one. I mean, they trained with us for probably 35 minutes, okay? And bearing in mind, Paul has played a lot more football, but had a week of transfer speculation, of medicals, of immigration, of passport office, of signing documents, of doing everything bar training. So his first exposure of the week was with us on Friday. So ironically, they probably played more than we would have liked on the weekend. Sulemana has played less than Paul, but is potent, is aggressive, is everything we want. Has had a real good week this week. Again, we've had to look after him because we can't just flog him because we'll lose him. But he's far, far closer now to being the potent player that we really want.
And then as far as your approach, your work and the compromising that had been done before Saturday, how different have you approached things this week?
I've just gone back to basics. I've gone back to what I've normally done. But look, it's all about focusing on winning the game. Now, when I say compromise, I've just few day-to-day things which, you know, normally I do differently, and I've just gone back to what I've normally done. So I wanted to accept full responsibility. So that's the thing. So your headline, really, if you want one, is I accept full responsibility and wanted to, and I've done that in every single interview I've done in my 6-year managerial career, 7 year managerial career. I've never ever put it on anyone else or anything. I've always and that's what I came out and done the other day. Yeah, emotionally was saying about compromise, but there's no massive compromise. There's certain things I've done which I've gone back to, and that's it. Now we're really focused on the weekend.
A couple of weeks ago, a senior player gave us an interview where he said it was a real positive that he'd never seen a manager be so open to other ideas, and said that in every team meeting you started off by asking the players what they thought, and then you take certain things on board, and obviously not everything. But will that change? Are you still open to those ideas and just filtering more out, or?
Look, I like to give certain people in autonomy, because I'm not a dictator or anything. I'm open in terms of certain things, but we want the players to be involved in the process of getting better, of seeing things that we do, and we ask for their opinion on that, and then we debrief. And it's, you know, the debrief's done from our opinion, and if that correlates with what we see, then we go, yep, that's what we've seen, that's what we've clipped out. So it's a nice process, a good process. I've done that everywhere I've been as a coach, manager, under 21 school, whatever it was. I've done that, and I've always improved players like that way. So that's what we do. That. So I want there to be an element of autonomy in certain things.
And how about the weekend? What have you made of Wolves? They seem very different at home and away, but perhaps getting better. How dangerous are they?
They're dangerous. Look, they've got a seasoned Premier League side. They've got a real potent players. They've got some real talented players, and it's another Premier League game. There's no easy games in the Premier League, so we're preparing it as to face the sternest of tests, and that's how we've prepared.
Good luck, Nathan.
Just on Wolves, then, how do you go about nullifying that midfield that's got so much class in it, you know, with Neves and Coutinho and Nunes? They've got a lot of quality. A lot of people are surprised they've been struggling, but they seem to be turning that around. So what have you got to do as a team better to nullify them?
We've got to defend better. We've got to be aggressive. We've got to be front-footed in terms of stuff, and then we've got to implement our strengths on the game, because that's, you know, one of the things I want to do. I don't want to negate teams. I want to be bold and front-footed and positive. That's what I've always done, and that's what I want to do. I want to implement our style and our game plan on them, not just go into a game to contain.
And is that the stuff that you wanted to draw a line under last week with the compromise stuff, just going on from that question? But how does that translate on the pitch this weekend, you hope, the things that you need to see improving?
Well, it's just a positive team that creates chances, that's front-footed, that works hard, and looks potent. That's basically what I want to make sure that we are.
How have you dealt with this week personally, psychologically? Mentally, you're a human being. You've got a lot of stick, a lot of people, criticism from pros, media, everybody. How have you dealt with that yourself? How do you get through that? What gives you that faith?
Well, look, the be-all and end-all is you're a manager, and the higher you go, the more scrutiny you get, and the wider back, the broader shoulders you have to have. You have to accept this part and parcel of things. There's certain elements of it you feel It's not necessary. It's a bit unfair. It's just not, that there's no context in that. But as you said, the higher you go, the better, the more you take. I'm a religious man. I believe in God. God gives me strength. I haven't got here by a silver spoon or by a fly by night and just done it. I've had to work hard to get here and just continue to work hard and believe in what we do, because I do believe in what we do. I've real belief in the work that we do, and I believe that we as a staff, but me personally in terms of everything, affect players positively, because my track record says that at whatever level, whether that be England under 21s, whether that be Brighton in the Premier League, whether in Championship, League 1, League 2 or whatever that is, under 21 group, I affect players, and that's what I want to continue to do, and what I want to get back to really, really affecting.
And just finally, obviously when the criticism comes, you also get things written everywhere that might not be true. One of the things is about problems on the training ground, certain individuals arguing with each other, fighting or whatever. I mean, social media is awash with that sort of stuff. Might not be true, but what can you say about the coaches, the players, everything on the training ground the last couple of weeks?
Well, look, I can. That's a non-identity. That's nothing. Nothing like that. I mean, to be fair, I've been in groups, very successful groups, where there are fights, there are aggression on the training ground. But here, it's a good group. It's a group that gets on. It's a group that's honest, that works hard. And I mean, that's one of the positives. They are working hard. Our running stats, our aggression stats, and stuff, and things are up. So they're working hard, and it's a good group. And there's no. Everyone would look in when you're not getting. Everyone look, but it's not that. We just haven't been good enough in games, and I take full responsibility for that. And that's the only thing. If we were getting results, this would be a wonderful place, because it is a good atmosphere. There is a good spirit in the training, in the changing room, around the camp, and everything. Everyone works hard. There's good competition, and as I said, there's no issues like that.
Ryan? Hi Evan, just to one for this section. You said after the last game that Luton were up there statistically with some of the best teams in Europe. Could you expand on that a little bit more for us, and also tell us what stats is it you like to lead on?
No, look, have a look at them up yourself. What we said was I was recruited because of that, because of we had certain stats that this club wanted to attain to, and that's what it was.
Can you tell us what stats you like to lead off to? What stats is it Southampton looked at and said that's what we like about you?
Everything positive. Everything.
Okay, thanks. We'll move on to section for 10:30 this evening. Start with you, Joe.
Hi Nathan. What did you make of the fans' forum on Tuesday?
Look, I accept these kind of things. I was very happy, and that my board backed me in terms of certain stuff, because obviously they would see a lot more that's going on. One, in the recruitment process. Two, since I've come in, the positivity in any area that I've had. They see the work on the training pitch, they see certain things, they see how I dealt with situations that have occurred, and they will think, okay, yeah, we're happy. As I said, the big thing is results. That's the thing, and that's the most important thing, and that's what we have to change. And we're not shying away from that in any way, shape or form, and I have accepted, to reiterate, full responsibility. And not once have I passed the buck, not once have I dug anyone out, not once have I passed the blame on to any individual apart from myself, ever in my career.
I'm not saying it's your decision, but can you see the optics when your predecessors would go to fans' forums, most of them, all of them, and you weren't there?
Just to clarify that, Cliff, I'm happy to take that one, because it was explained on the night that was an ownership forum, and that would be why the manager wasn't there. So that has been dealt with and has been cleared up. So.
Thank you. Moving on, you said on Saturday that there were certain people in the village and players in the building that we have to work with. What do you mean by that?
There was what, sorry?
There were certain people in the village and players in the building that you have to work with.
In the village? That was a really slip of the tongue. I don't know where I mean by the village.
Okay. Yeah, okay, no problem. Obviously after the Brentford game you talked about compromises and going back to your defined principles. What were they, or what are they?
Well, hopefully you'll see those on the weekend, and if you've watched any of my teams in the past, you'll know that. So it's about going back to basics and making sure that we are the best versions of ourselves, really.
And just finally, where does the Wolves game rank in terms of the importance in your career?
Every single game I go up against in my managerial career. Bearing in mind, like where I came from when I went into I had an opportunity as a caretaker when I was at Brighton, and those were make or break for me because they were like opportunities to be a manager. If I failed, I would never have been in this position. Then my first game at Luton was important. Then we had one for a playoff semi. Then we had one to define you, you know. And I've had some at Stoke that have been, yeah, if you don't win this, you know, you could be in real trouble. So I've had a load of those. But every your next game is like that, because your next game can cause you problems at whatever level you are, you know. And the Premier League, the biggest scrutinised league in the world, the biggest pressure in the world, the hardest league in the world, and the best league in the world is why everyone wants to work in it. And if you can't handle the pressure and these games are not important enough to you, then you're in the wrong game. And that's not me being, you know, blasé about everything. I know the importance of the game. I really, really do. But I've been in situations like this before, and I'm sure in God's will I'll be in them again.
Hi Nathan. You've obviously explained yourself. You said that you were just taking responsibility and all these kinds of things. But did you, on Saturday night, regret the way some of the things may have come out, you know, given the response that you got?
No, I think I regret more that how they've been reported. If people who know me and know my character and know how I go about my job would realise exactly, because I've had, you know, there's been a lot said and a lot reported about and spoken about me, and that's fine. I accept it because of the position. But from now on, would I be better just reporting on the game and not giving anything emotional or anything from my heart or anything? Maybe, but that's not me, and I want to be authentic. And anyone who knows me and anyone in the changing room and would know, because I said things to those as well, know I was accepting responsibility, because that's what I've done throughout my whole career as a player and especially as a coach and a manager. I've never, ever, ever passed the buck. I've accepted everything.
I suppose one of those things that potentially I agree could have been misreported is you referenced Romeo Lavia's substitution. You said, you know, he wasn't running the game, he must have been watching different games and stuff like that. But what did you mean by that? Because supporters have been upset with that. He's only a young player and he's obviously a top player for you.
But I understand that, and I didn't dig out. I was asked about Romeo Lavia, and I love Romeo Lavia. He knows the amount of work that we do with Romeo Lavia. He knows that we care about him, that we want him to be bold. I took him off the other day because one, I protect him, and two, there were certain elements in the game that I needed something different. I felt I needed something different. But when asked directly about him, I didn't hang Romeo and said he wasn't good enough, he wasn't this. At the time, we needed something. We needed someone to do something a little bit different, and that's why I made the change. Romeo Lavia knows how I feel about him. Fans can jump on anything, I understand. But if in context, and you know how I feel about my players, and at no time in my career have I hung a player out to dry in my 350, 380 games in charge. Not once.
I listened back to the fans forum yesterday night or the day before, and I think Martin Semmens said that Duya Kaleta-Carr came off at the half-time of the B-team game because he had a little bit of an injury. Have I misheard that? Was that correct? Precaution.
So again, some substitutions we make are precautionary to look after players, not, and that's first team and things. So to look at. But Duya is trained fully since.
Did that impact his availability for last weekend, or had you already pre-decided the plan at that point?
We had a big squad. We felt, because of the suspension, he was deconditioned. So we felt, do we travel to Brentford, have him in a hotel, do very little because there's only so much you can do when you're in a hotel, or do I say to him, get match minutes so that Monday morning you are better equipped for the week training and ready if selected for Wolves? We had a conversation. He made that choice, so I didn't have to coerce him in any way whatsoever. He made that choice, and as it was, he felt his hamstring because certain conditions out there might not be exactly the same as here and so on, and that's why we brought him off, precautionary.
I want to talk about Stuart Armstrong. I know you spoke about how they're getting a little bit closer, but I think Stuart was obviously a player who fans love, a big influence on the team, but over the last couple of seasons his 90 minutes have reduced. He's not quite had the same full match influence. Are we at a stage with his career, with his body now, where it's difficult to expect those 90s from him week in, week out?
No, I played until I was 39 and played 90s until I was 39. Stu's had picked up a few things. I can only comment since I've come here, and since I've come here, Stu's had little injuries, but he's played through those injuries, which has been really admirable. But we haven't seen the best of him, so then we made a decision to take him out because a 60% Stuart Armstrong is not what we want to see. We want to see 100%. And then by having him on the bench, obviously that adds pressure on me because I know he's a fan's favourite. So we wanted to get him back to a level that he can contribute for Southampton at the best version of himself, and then also that he can be happy with the way he's training. But you know, I've got no problems. Stu. I really like Stu. I've tried to sign Stu, as I've said, on 2 occasions prior, and I really like him. And the sooner he can get bang up to speed, the better it will be for Southampton Football Club.
Thank you.
Hands up.
Hi Nathan, you just mentioned you didn't like how some of your comments had been reported. Which comments were reported poorly?
I just felt it was taken out of context. It was sort of misinterpreted, if you like. All I came out was to be honest, to be open, to be raw after a game and say, I accept full responsibility.
Of course, like you said, after defeat it is quite raw. Do you wish you just phrase them a bit differently, those comments, because the way that they read is quite strong?
The way they're written, the way that I understand, but I've just answered that really, you know, in terms of that. If I don't, I understand they have a club to protect, but I also understand they have to be authentic. And at that time, I accepted full responsibility for the defeat at Brentford and every other defeat we've had.
You've had some big challenges in your time as a manager. Luton, for example, when you came back. Where would this rank amongst your challenges? Would you reckon this is the biggest one?
Look, it's a massive challenge. It's the biggest one because it's the next one. So that'd be all and end all. But we're in the Premier League. We're in a tough spot in the Premier League. We've got to try and win games in the toughest league in the world. So of course, it's a tough challenge. But I'll be dead soon. I'll be dead one day, and I'll look back on these days and think, no, how did you stand up to them? How did you come through them? Did they build your character? Did you wilt? Did you go backwards, or did you face them full on?
Have you found it? You just mentioned it's very tough. It is the toughest league. And what's it like just me making that transition into the Premier League?
It's been good. I've statistically enjoyed it because it has. It's tested us every day. But you know, when you first go to the Championship, it's a test. It's new. You know, I went to Stoke and didn't have a brilliant time at Stoke, and people said, "Man, I can't manage." And they came back and managing the Championship very, very well, very successfully. And you know, this level is unforgiving at times. You can play well and you can do so many good things in the game and have a wonderful performance, but you can get punched on the nose because everyone's got quality, and that's the league. But in terms of tactically, we've always been very good tactically at whatever level, and I have no issue with us tactically because we're thorough. We know where to press from. We know triggers. We know where to be aggressive. We know how to break teams down. It's just then implementing that and scoring more goals than the opposition. And that's what we are. But I've loved the challenge. It's amazing. It's where you want to be.
What you mentioned on compromise as well. Even the top managers, they compromise because of the league. What's the process behind that? Do you just come to Southampton and go, we might have to be a bit different to what I'd like to do because of the league, and then you've just sort of learned along the way that maybe you should have just stuck to your guns in the first place? Is that the process? Not
quite, but you know.
What is the process?
Well, look, I don't want to over elaborate on the past now. I want to look forward in terms of stuff. There's certain things I would have done differently, but we know that, okay, and that's not because we've got defeats or anything else. It's certain things. But now we're looking forward. So we've had a really positive week. We've got a good group to work with, and now we're looking forward to the Wolves game.
Last one. People that have seen your Luton team know that they were a very efficient team. Is that what we're going to see this weekend?
How do you mean by efficient?
Very direct. I can go through the stats if you'd like. You have the second fewest passes overall in the league, the second fewest in your defensive third and middle third, and you're quite direct. That's what I mean by efficient. But there's a better way to phrase it than that.
I think it's a different way to think. We were very productive,
and that's what we'll see hopefully this week.
Hopefully we'll see a productive, front-footed Southampton side, because that's what we were.
Thank you.
Okay, Joe. Nathan, I just wanted to clarify something from the broadcast section. Jeremy asked whether you thought you were the right man for the job or you were beyond the point of no return with the fans, and you said, I'm not sure. Is that you're not sure that you're the right man?
No, I'm not sure. It's not my decision. I think I categorically think I'm the right man for the job because I know the work I do. categorically think I'm the right man for the job. If others, I don't 100% know any of the outside influences or anything feel that. But for me, if you're asking me, so if you want to ask me the question again, I categorically think I'm the right man for the job, because I know what I can do, I know what I do on a daily basis, and I know what we need. It's
the relationship with supporters and a manager and a team is obviously very important when you're in a situation like this. What do you think it could take to start to repair that? Is it a couple of wins, or is it something more than that?
I don't think I've done anything personally against anyone, so I don't know if I've got to build any bridges, you know what I mean? But it's about wins. It's about them seeing a team out there that can win football games, because that's ultimately what they get behind, you know, in terms of stuff. It's a tough start, you know, in terms of everything. Then we turned a corner, and then we've just had a couple of tricky results now, and that's what's shown. But results will all change it, because it doesn't matter who you are. If you don't get results, you're under pressure. There's other Premier League managers that are more experienced in the Premier League than I that are having tough times as well. So it's part and parcel of the game. And the higher you go, I mean, others who are being very successful only got to have 1 or 2 defeats, and suddenly they're maybe not as good on the team, or they're not. So it's, you know, I understand the pressures, but I believe categorically in the man for the job. I'm enjoying my job here. It's tough in terms of now the situation, but tough situations call for just tough people.
And just on the players that were in the B team last week, Kletzkar and Mislav Orsic as well, how have they responded this week? Are they in contention to be in the squad this weekend?
Yeah, we don't play them in the B team because we don't like them. No, we play them in the B team because they're not up to speed, and that gives us an opportunity. If I could arrange other games in between and play, then fine. But you know, that's what a football club does. It keeps, and I have to keep a large squad fit, strong, hungry, and ready to go. Because if I allowed them, you know, no, come to Brentford and stuff, and then they don't play, and then they don't get on the pitch or on the bench, and they sit in a hotel, and the food's good in hotels. Yeah. And then they come back Monday and expect to train. Then they have to play on the Wolves, and they think, well, yeah, but I haven't played for 2-3 weeks. Well, that was your opportunity. So that's why we do it. There's a real logic behind everything, honestly.
And would you consider a player like Orsic to be sharp enough now, or do you think he still needs a bit more to get ready? Because he obviously had a long break after the World Cup.
He's getting there. Is he at the absolute speed that he needs to be? We'll see. But it's a work in progress, a constant work in progress. That's the trouble at times about having a World Cup in November, or a player being out for injuries, or a player that you sign that hasn't played at his previous club much. Then you have to get them up to speed. You can throw them in and go, well, yeah, we've paid a lot of money for you, and then you go. And suddenly the Premier League intensity and everything does, and they pull up, and suddenly use them for 6 weeks. So what good's that?
Cheers, Jeremy.
You sort of talked about getting back to basics. I just wondered, what are the kind of strands on which you want to put, you've emphasised to the players this week that can sort of see the club to safety in the next month? What are the basics that you really emphasised to the
everything that you need to do to win a game at the Premier League level, we've emphasised. About being front-footed and aggressive, about being us, about really being the best versions of us in terms of everything, and about, you know, knuckling down every little thing we do, from a throw-in to a corner to a pattern of play, wherever it is. We have gone back to basics in terms of, this is the best version of us, this is what we do. Can we demand that quality, that intensity, every little thing we've done.
And you sort of said that there's a big part of you that's enjoyed the challenge of what you've done in the last few months. How different, you know, obviously we have a perspective from here, but from your side, you've played abroad and worked in lots of different, you know, leagues as well. How is the Premier League quite unique, or is football kind of football wherever you are?
No, I think every situation's unique, but look, I probably should keep my mouth shut and the thing here, but I went to Luton. I was homesick when I went to Luton when I was a player. The manager left, David Pleat left, and my next move was then to go to Spain. No logic in that, because I'm homesick in Luton and I decided to go to Spain. I enjoy a challenge. I want to be the best version. I could have stayed in a mining community and be a PE teacher and had a nice life. Married a nice Welsh girl and all those things. Beautiful. I want to test myself on every little, and that's nothing against Welsh girls. But I want to test myself. I've always wanted to test myself. I want to test myself and be a player and survive. And I knew I wasn't brilliant as a player, but I was the fittest human being in history. And I thought, I'm going to cling on to this career and get as high as I can. But while I was doing that, I then took coaching badges and I learned off people. And I wanted to be the best coach in the world. That's what I wanted to be. So I learned and developed a philosophy. Then it came to a point that I thought, I could be a manager. I didn't set out to be a manager, but I could be a manager. And then I loved it. Loved the pressure, loved everything. I loved it when your team won. I found more enjoyment out of my team playing well than me playing well when I did, because it's a collective. Now I'm hurting like anyone else, like any other Southampton fan. And I'm not saying I'm a bigger Southampton fan than them, but my life depends on things. So I don't go to the pub after and stuff like that. My life depends on this. But I love the pressure. I love the challenge, because what else am I going to do?